What are we the most excited about in 2023? So number one, the game that immediately comes to mind that we're excited about in 2023, I'm just going to calculate this based on how my brain is working going in the next year. All of my brain power, because of recent events, goes to this, Street Fighter 6. Thanks, Luke, for the face. SF6 is such a substantial game when it comes to the fighting game community and Street Fighter for the lives of people that have been growing up with this stuff, that when a new Street Fighter comes out, it essentially acts as like a defining moment for the fighting game genre. And it just does. And we've even heard other devs, Tekken devs, as well as Guilty Gear devs, like we've heard in the Japanese roundtable, these people talk about how like, yeah, whenever a new Street Fighter comes out, it essentially is like this defining moment where they're all paying attention to how that game is doing, and they move forward kind of based on that, because still, to this day, Street Fighter is still looked at, regardless of how popular or unpopular it was, you know, for Street Fighter V, still looked upon as being like the #1 fighting game franchise in the world. Luckily, everything that we've run into in the betas has been pretty fantastic. Every character we've seen shown off is getting more and more interesting. It is a polar opposite to how they were presenting stuff in Street Fighter V. It almost seems like this game is an answer to Street Fighter V, because it obviously is. It also feels like, based on my existence in this content creating scape over so many years now, I feel this game has more appeal than any Capcom fighting game since Street Fighter 4. Even more than Marvel vs. Capcom 3, even more than Street Fighter 5, even more than Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I feel like in terms of a game's actual success, how much it's going to sell, pretty good idea this might end up being one of the best-selling Street Fighter games there is, next to like even old school Street Fighter 2. And it might get there way faster. And I'm not including like over the next 7 years, which it took like, you know, 6 years is what it took Street Fighter 5 to eventually get to good sales. I think this game will actually end up being, get to higher sales faster than Street Fighter 4. And I feel that there's an expectancy when it comes to the content of fighting games, and this game is delivering. It is delivering on every single front that people would like to expect. So I would not be surprised that going into 2023, Street Fighter 6 is going to be very big. And I would not even be surprised if it reaches the levels of like an NRS game. And here's the crazy part. No other fighting game reaches NRS game levels. The only one that has been Tekken 7. And I guess technically Dragon Ball FighterZ, but not even to that level. All I'm saying is that Street Fighter could finally reach like the upper echelon of huge sales for a fighting game, because it will appeal to a broader audience than it has in a very long time. Like we're talking like 10 years, dude. So it's going to be a big deal. The reason it is going to be a big deal, it's not coming out soon. They are actually waiting. Like the game feels done, right? It feels like we've played the majority of what this game is outside of the single player content. Like it feels like that's the case. The game's still not coming out for 6 months, dude. That's a long time in video game development. 6 months. So whatever they're working on, they're really working on a lot of it. And whether or not it's single player content, whether or not it's refinement to characters, whether or not it's, you know, online stuff, who knows? All I'm saying is that it feels like this could have been launched within the near future, and they're specifically holding back because they want to make sure the launch of the game is good. They want to make sure they don't run into the same problems they've had with previous fighting games, where the launches have completely been a stake to the heart of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, as well as Street Fighter V, with just abysmal launches and rosters and characters that people don't want, you know? So I feel like this is Capcom's return. Like, Capcom is back. Did they ever really go away? They didn't, but there has been an obvious shift for Capcom over the past, like, 5 years of their releases. And it feels like Capcom truly gives a shit about their fighting games again. And before, it sort of felt like they were sort of taking advantage of the fact that they were the big boys, right? We're the big Capcom fighting game, right? Everyone's gonna buy our thing. Doesn't work that way anymore. I cannot friggin' wait, dude. I cannot wait to see what the characters actually play like. The new characters, you know? Or even the older characters coming back. The next one, I'm trying to really dig deep into my heart. So, my most anticipated game, second to Street Fighter, that immediately comes to mind, is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yeah, I can't help it, man. I know there's other games that would like potentially deserve like a nice spot on this list, but I just can't help it. Like, RE4 is, in my opinion, one of the greatest games of all time. It's in my top 5 games of all time. It's an obvious pick, I feel like I embrace the differences. You know, in the same way that Final Fantasy VII Remake, I actually embrace that it's different. I actually like that. I don't want the exact same thing again. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to how things are going to be shaken up in RE4 Remake, hopefully for the better, right? And different doesn't always mean that this is going to be better than the original, but I just want to like relive the experience in a different way, you know? And not to mention the fact that gameplay-wise, they're setting up for some really nutty stuff, which is exciting. RE4 was one of the biggest defining industry shakers of the entire video game industry over the past, like, 20 years. So will this game be that? I don't think so. I think it's hard to ask it to be that, but just to give us a similar sort of feeling that we've had before is all I want. Do you think it'll be as long as the old one? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be as long. I don't think it needs to be. I think there's some things I would like to be there, even though they are technically like superfluous. What's the word for that? They are not necessarily like needed. For example, the minecart sequence. I really hope the minecart sequence is there. Does it need to be there? No. No, it doesn't need to be there, but I love it. I want the minecart scene to be there, but does it need to be there? No, I can understand that they would cut that shit, right? People have been talking over and over about the island. Does the island need to be there? I mean, not specifically. There's stuff on the island that's cool, but does it need to be in the island? You know, I don't know. Like there's a lot of questions there. So that's what I'm kind of curious about. I'm curious how they're going to approach this shit because it already seems very, as we're seeing right now, very faithful. Like it's not like it's in a completely different area with characters saying completely different things and everyone acting in weird ways. Like, it actually seems cheesy, right? That's the weirdest part. I thought it was going to be gritty and like hardcore and RE2-like, RE2 Remake-like. Dude, no. Where'd everyone go? Bingo? Apparently that line is in the games. I'm excited. I was already mentally prepared that they were going to cut the cheese out of the game. And I'm kind of happy that that is there. I kind of been looking forward to that shit. The next biggest game for 2023 is Final Fantasy XVI. How much hype is built up? We don't have like a Final Fantasy XIII, a Final Fantasy XV situation where it's just been such an astronomical long period of time where we first hear about the game and it's eventually out. No, like Final Fantasy XVI has been around for like, what, 2-ish years? 2.5 years or so? By that time it will come out, it had been like 3 years since the actual launch of the game. So like a 3-year time frame. Shockingly, that is very short in the comparison of most Final Fantasy games. It doesn't seem like 16 has gone through the development hell. It seems like it's been relatively focused and kind of is what it is, and they're just executing on that, and you're seeing what they're executing on. It's exciting that it is an action game. I'm very excited about that. What I'm more curious about is build stuff, right? Weirdly enough, in a game like this, I feel like I want replayability. When it comes to games that are like action RPGs and stuff, I feel like I hope there is elements of replayability in some way or customization to your character that'll allow you to do different shit. But man, like, you want to make me super happy, like, just add extra modes, right? Since you have an action game, it doesn't need to be directly tied to the story. You have like a great system that works, that is fun to play. Just allow people to play it, you know? Just have fun with it. What I kind of hope for is that they have a hard mode in this game that is as thought through and fun as Final Fantasy VII Remake's hard mode. That's what I kind of want. I want there to be a really good reason to play through it again and have it be badass. Maybe they'll drop a demo. So when would 16's demo be? Probably around like March to April. We just got the Forspoken demo. The Forspoken's coming out in January. Shockingly, like, I don't think I would put Forspoken in my most excited games of 2023. I'm excited to, I want to play it, but am I like hyped for it? No, I'm gonna try it. That is actually a great one. I'm looking forward to this game. It's like a not Bloodborne game, okay? I don't know if we know the exact day Lies of P is coming out, but I'm looking forward to this. I like the premise. I like the story. I think the visuals look good. It's hard to say if the combat is going to be great because I have not actually played it, but from impressions of people, it does seem to be of high quality. It seems to be very good. So once again, like, it's a game that is writing Bloodborne as an aesthetic, right? That is essentially using Bloodborne, and that's good. That's fine. I'm okay with that, right? I'm fine with that shit. You can do that. I just want the execution to be fun, and it looks like they're setting up for some good stuff. I just want to play it. I don't know when it's eventually coming out. I think it's coming out on Games Pass when it first comes out. But I would say that, like, this game is not going to have the masterclass level design of Souls games. It's just not. It's going to have good combat. It's going to have okay level design. But is this the thing that is going to essentially, you know, be better? No. I'm going to tell you right now, every single time we get a new Souls-like that comes out, it is not going to have the level design that you're sort of expecting. What's probably going to get that is in Armored Core. Armored Core is likely going to be the game that is going to have really crazy level design and missions and stuff like that, but it's not going to be a Souls-like. I feel like I'm still excited for it, but I might be a little bit more excited for this one because this is tried and true stuff. Armored Core just might end up being a game that I don't like that much. I have to see what it is. I have to see like how it's gonna be, because Armored Core doesn't have that stuff. It's like pretty much straightforward mission-based kind of stuff throughout the majority of, you know, games that they've had. Will I be trying out Tears of the Kingdom? I will, but I'm not excited for it. Is that weird? I am more excited for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom so that I can play this game. Is that weird? For anybody that doesn't know, I've never played the original Legend of Zelda, right? I've played like so little of this that I don't know anything. My gimmick leading up to Tears of the Kingdom is that I'm going to play on a Nintendo The Legend of Zelda without any information, without any spoiling. This is already kind of spoilers, right? And I've played so little. I played like the first dungeon of this game. I know nothing about it, right? So I'm going to do, I'm going to have like the strategy guide. I'm sorry, the instruction booklet. I'm going to have only the things people had access to in the 80s in order to get through this. I'm going to try, and I'm going to do my best not to know things and try to go through and figure out how it plays. I know it's the most obtuse, weird shit, right? I get it. But we recently played Adventure on Atari, and it was kind of fun, and it's like, that's like the precursor to Zelda. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this game. I hope it doesn't burn me out, though, right? I feel like Neo 2, I tried to play multiple times, and we beat Neo 1, but Neo 2 burned me out. At some point, it just ends up being like a bit too much and asking a lot of you, and something about it. I always drop off. But the demo of this was good. It felt like a more refined and more fun version of Neo, even. The beta's really, the beta/alpha for this was really good. And I was kind of taken back by it. I was sort of surprised by it. I am looking forward to this. Team Ninja has made some great stuff. And the little bit we've played was substantially enjoyable. And the Neo demos are always really fun. But I feel like I like this one a little bit more, right? Just a little bit more. So March 3rd. So this is one of the earlier ones in the year. One of the earlier launches in 2023. And that's good. That means we have some action games to play already in the first 6 months, you know? Exo Primal? Ah, man. I feel like even though we've played Exo Primal, I feel like I need to play more. This is clearly going to be a 2023 game, and does have some really fun stuff in it, obviously. I don't feel aggressively in either direction. Is that weird? I don't think this even has a release date still, technically. But I feel like I don't aggressively love it, and I don't hate it. Like, I'm like, yeah, it seems fine. It seems fine. It seems crazy and fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know if I'm super excited for it. Let's talk about some other stuff that doesn't have release dates yet. I am super fascinated by what next year is going to bring for Tekken 8, even though it might not launch next year. There's a good chance we're going to be playing Tekken 8 next year. There's a good chance we're going to get a better understanding of its systems and see which characters are in it and all this kind of stuff. I'm very excited for this. I think this could be the first chance that Tekken has a chance to get some shit right. Tekken 7 did a lot of stuff that was right between its roster, between it like having a story mode, that kind of stuff, made it a very appealing sort of game. But I feel like there's a lot to improve on. And I think the bigger question we have now is, will Bandai Namco, will Harada and crew take advantage of that opportunity and make Tekken 8 be the super fully featured modern day fighting game that it is? Because T7's been around for a very long time, man. And it took a long time to get T7 to a point where it's actually really good. Now that this might not be a game that's going to be an arcade game anymore, it actually is going to be, for the first time in Tekken's history, a console game first, and not an arcade game, and hopefully the chance to take advantage of some modern technology. You know, I'd like to think so. I'm kind of hopeful. I would love to just fully invest into Tekken, and I realize, you know, over the past couple months when we were playing T7 and just playing it, how great it is. But it's like, there's so many little things that can make it so much better. FF7 Rebirth is going to be shown next year, where we're actually in a time frame where the proximity of us getting more information and an actual release to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is relatively close. Like, it's actually really close. I'm still thinking back to 2019 when that E3 happened and we first got like the taste of gameplay from FF7, as well as, you know, I went to E3 and played it. That's pretty much what 2023 is going to be, where around the May-ish time frame, right around when Final Fantasy XVI comes out, because it doesn't want to take too much thunder from FF16, we're going to be seeing way more of this game, and it's probably going to be, they even said it's going to be launching fiscal 2023, right? But what that means is 2024. That means early 2024, like somewhere between January to April. So that's insanely exciting to me, because that went by quick, man. Like, that time frame feels like it's a huge amount of time and it's going to take forever. But believe it or not, like, that went by really fast back in the day, in 4 years ago, right? I'm getting very excited because we are on what essentially is the horizon of the next chapter of what was potentially going to be the nuttiest chapter of Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're going to get some potential answers of where the story is going. We're going to get potentially a giant world, huge scale environments, as we're seeing already from this very early trailer. I don't anticipate we're going to see much on this, because even recently FF7 devs have said that they have a ton of Rebirth stuff for next year. Like, even in recent tweets and stuff like that from the interviews, no kidding, they literally have said there's a lot of FF7 stuff planned for 2023. It's a big year for the game. This one, though, we have seen. The chance of it being a reality is getting closer and closer. We don't know if it's going to be this close in 2023, but this game is coming to fruition. The next premium tag fighter coming from Riot Studios. And yes, who isn't excited about this shit? Who isn't? And I feel like I wasn't. A few years ago, a couple years ago, I'd say I wasn't. When Project L was essentially just a 1v1 footsie fighter, right? I feel like I was like, yes, we're going to try this. I hope it's good. It wasn't until we got confirmation 1 year ago when the gameplay substantially changed into being like a tag-based assist game with really unique tag mechanics that, oh, I'm all in. Like, this is literally my favorite shit. This is like some of my favorite shit. And when it comes to fighting games, and now that the game is significantly better looking, now that we've seen like where the tag system's going, that the visuals are getting better, this shit's gonna be crazy. This is probably one of the biggest fighting games that doesn't already have like a long-running established franchise of fighting games. This is probably one of the biggest ones there is. And the nicest part is that the devs are taking their time. Granted, they've taken their sweet-ass time. It's been a hell of a long time. But it is really starting to look like something that's great. And what I love about it is that now it looks like something that's close to Dragon Ball FighterZ, but not, right? It's Dragon Ball FighterZ with like smooth animations and stuff like that. I think this game is probably going to be great and be super fun. But I don't know if the League of Legends community is going to directly want to play a fighting game. I think it's going to do well in the same way that like Valorant has now done well, even though it was mostly like a Riot Counter-Strike. I don't know if the adoption is going to be as big as some people think it is. I think fighting game fans obviously are going to love it, but in the same way, yeah, there's a lot of FGC people that like League of Legends, but there's not a lot of FGC people overall. You know, just saying generally. I'm not really speaking for League of Legends fans specifically. I just can generally assume that not every single League of Legends person is going to be into a fighting game. From what I understand, when people are usually into a game and they invested thousands of hours into it, they usually like that one fucking thing. So League players like League. Shocking. I still think it's going to be great. It's going to be good. But there's been a lot of predictions that this game is going to be like, we've invented the fucking wheel for fighting games. We did it. I would say I'm excited to roll this intro again. I would say Especially after I finally found like a team of characters that I really enjoy playing in this game, that I am actively looking forward to Dragon Ball FighterZ getting rollback netcode. Yeah, this is going to be exciting as shit for me. I'm very much looking forward to this shit, because this game, when I eventually found like my favorite team, which I think is what we're seeing in the top right, this game was fun. This game is very fun, and I have issues with it. I can't wait to hopefully eliminate some of the frustration and relearn stuff, you know? It's going to be such a better experience. It's so funny how many conflicting emotions I've had about Dragon Ball over the years because of issues like netcode, because of like just functionality stuff, you know? Yeah, and granted, it's a rollback revolution that's happening in 2023. It isn't just this, it's also Samurai Showdown. But if we're going to pick between Samurai Showdown and this, dude, this game's got big baby Broly. This game's got the big boy. Not the big boy on the left, the big boy on the right. I would argue that DBS Broly is, you know, one of the most fun fighting game characters I've played, just in general. Insanely fun, as I'm getting beat up. Oh yeah, big ass baby combos. Here we go. Bam. Teleport. Bam. Step on him. Yeah, step on him. Throw him in the wall. Yeah, fuck this guy. Throw an orb at his ass. Ugh. God damn. So much fun. God damn.